Hello everyone, my name is Jeffrey Petrone, and this is another episode of Cocktails with Jeffrey, starting off the series, or at least, not really a series, but a series within a series, if you would, of variations on classic cocktails that I have, pretty much with no exception, never had before, which is not really the best way to do this, but I don't quite have the ingredients to make each one exactly, so I wanted to do some tinkering and see if I could come up with a version with ingredients I had on hand that would bring a result that I find pleasant. So, what are we making today? Well, I'm going to be making a Boulevardier, which is of course a drink that involves bourbon. In this case I'm using Wild Turkey 13. Sweet vermouth by a company, I think called Tribuno. But instead of campari, I'm going to be trying fernet branca, which is very much not in the same region of flavor, but is an Italian aperitif. Amaro, I'm forgetting what it's called. I'm pretty sure it's in the Amaro category and aperitif. I'll put information here, but they're both Italian. They're both fairly bitter, but this is more of a herbal drink than a drink that would provide sweetness. So yeah, tentatively this drink is called the Bartender's Boulevardier because the Fernet con Coca, or Fernet and Coke, is a drink that is sometimes referred to as a bartender's handshake. So let's get this handshake off to a good start. Now, of course, we're not going to be shaking anyone's hand in the making of this drink, but what we are going to do is take a glass, in this case a mason jar that I have filled with ice, and adding in 1.5 ounces of our bourbon. Now, some people go for a rye, but the original version of the cocktail did, of course, call for a bourbon. And I feel like that was not quite enough, so I'm going to add in a tad more. Of course, Wild Turkey 13 is not the most common variety of bourbon. Basically, use whatever kind of bourbon you have on hand. I thought I'd give this a try. Just like I'm cracking open this sweet vermouth for the first time and putting in 1 ounce. Ooh, that smells very good. Following that, we're going to take our fernet branca, and add in 1 ounce. Now, this is a stirred cocktail, after all, so I'm just going to give it a nice stir. And following that, what we're going to do is strain the drink into a glass that I had chilling. It's not super cold, but it'll do. Not really worried about ice chunks. I used 2 big pieces of ice, as you probably could tell. And yeah, sometimes people serve this with a garnish of an orange peel. Of course, generally it is served better presenting, but I don't really make these cocktails for the presentation. I make them for the flavor. And how does this taste? This is it's soothing to the throat. I'm getting what is sometimes referred to as a Kentucky hug, which is a warm kind of alcohol feeling that sometimes arises, whether it is in the throat or in the lungs as the alcohol vapors evaporate up, is my understanding. But it is not like oh, this hurts, but it's a pleasant kind of embrace. That's Kentucky hug. But at the same time, the herbalness in both the bourbon and the fernet is coming out, but it's not overpowering the drink. Although for the bourbon, it's more the wild turkey kind of pepperiness, ryeness, although they don't particularly use that much rye. I don't think comparatively. They just have their bourbons specifically have a prominent note of pepper that develops from the rye, I found. It just develops in the whiskey. It's a signature flavor for them, or at least one I associate with wild turkey. But within that, of course, there is still the sweet vermouth. And there's a sweetness, but it's a very faint kind of background lingeringness. It's almost, the way it combines with the herbalness is almost like a mint, just kind of fading off. It's very, very nice, very pleasant, but not a drink I would recommend for really anyone. The upfront, so if you're not familiar, vermouth is fortified wine. The upfrontness of the vermouth, of the sweet wineness, is not so much present for me in the cocktail, but the fading sweetness that I got from the vermouth, the finish of it, is very much present in the cocktail. I imagine this would pair very nicely on a winter's day with a menthol cigarette or a menthol vape. It just really has this mint quality to it. I'm not sure if that would just be overwhelming, but it is comforting in a specific kind of way. I mean, in theory, if you're the person who would enjoy this drink, I imagine you're much more inclined to something like peppermint schnapps. But if you want to try something adventurous, I would recommend this take on the Boulevardier. And yeah.